Our Nation Sports Show. Breaking news in the National Football League. Mike McCarthy will not be returning to the sidelines next season as the Dallas Cowboys head coach. Now, the Cowboys are on the hunt for their next head coach. Reported by ESPN and other outlets, one of the leading possible candidates is one of the greatest defensive backs to play in the NFL. Prime time. Deion Sanders. Now that McCarthy will not be returning to the sidelines as the Cowboys head coach next season, where will the former Super Bowl champion head coach be coaching next season? Tonight we also bring to you our analysis of the first round of the NFL playoffs. Super Wildcard Weekend. And tonight we bring to you our predictions and previews for round 2 of the NFL's postseason. The Divisional Round, the drama, the pressure will rise. Who will survive and advance to Championship Sunday? And who will be eliminated? It's showtime.
Good up to the court, talking all that is sport, breaking down the latest news, scores, and more. Welcome to our Nation Sports Show.
Oh my God, it is Tuesday. I am back. You know what that means? Yes, this show is going to absolutely suck. No, I'm kidding. This show's going to be awesome today, guys. We got a great show for y'all. What's going on? I'm Ezra Vickery, and I'm back. Glad to be back in the host chair this week after a few weeks off. But, hey, we got to have some time to ourselves, so it's good to be back on the sports show, and we got one hell of a show for you. Man, after a crazy wildcard weekend, it's going to be interesting to talk about those games. We got those coming up, and, of course, divisional round stuff this coming weekend. Obviously, there's a lot to get into with that. There's some possible MLB news, NBA news, of course, as we continue rolling on through that. The Jimmy Butler Miami Heat saga continues. We will get into that.
Oh, dear God.
Yeah, it's more messy than the Corey Graves situation right now. But it's gonna be an awesome show, guys. So tune in, strap yourselves in for the ride. And of course, let's get to the ways you can interact with us. Of course, right here on YouTube at youtube.com/OurNationSportsShow, Owen_Sports Show on the good old X Twitter machine, Facebook.com, Instagram.com/OurNationSportsShow. Don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner, our sister show, the guys and gal, of course, talking all things professional wrestling. And after one hell of a Monday Night Raw last night, some big shows this past weekend in the world of the independents. I know we got some stuff going on here. And of course, this weekend, the big events this weekend, TNA Genesis, of course, taking place, I believe, at the Curtis Caldwell Center in San Antonio, Texas, or Garland, Texas, and also GCW, the People versus GCW, live at the Hammerstein Ballroom, coming up this weekend as well on the 19th. Of course, announced yesterday, big news: Tom Pestock, aka Baron Corbin, will be facing Josh Barnett in a Bloodsport rules match. Well, that's something that we may have time at the end to get into, but we're gonna save that for our crew over there at the Nation's Corner. They do that on Saturdays, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on youtube.com/Nation's Corner. And also, don't forget we'll get all the socials at the end of the show as well. Don't forget to follow at Too Sweet Cosplay across all socials. We are getting ready for a huge next couple of months, including C2E2 Comic-Con. We'll have updates as soon as we get that on what we're going to be doing there. Obviously, also during that time, we are also planning to attend New Japan Pro Wrestling's Windy City Riot event, which tickets go on sale for that this week. So if you're planning on heading to Chicago for the New Japan show, possibly Hiroshi Tanahashi's final U.S. match, be prepared. Tickets go on sale this Friday with pre-sale this Thursday. Check your emails for the code. So that's the plans for Too Sweet Cosplay, and that is at Too Sweet Cosplay across all social media. Now that we got that spiel out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the crew that we have tonight. And of course, we'll have others joining us probably throughout the night. So just keep an eye on our stream here because you never know who could pop in on this show. Obviously, we got our boys Kevin and Hijacker who may show up. You never know about that. We'll find out. But right now, we got with us right here on my bottom of my screen is the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour. Dig it. He is JT Joey Thornton. What's going on, my brother?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having an amazing Tuesday. And if you're in the South, I hope you're staying warm because winter is here and it's going full blast. But the weather may be cold outside, but the sports action is just heating up. We got some NFL to talk about, Major League Baseball, NBA, the whole 9 yards. So let's get into it, baby.
Absolutely. And also real quick, weather-wise, we're dealing with it up here too in the north. Obviously, we've had snow off and on. We've had cold temperatures. Next week is going to be even worse for us because temperatures are going to fall below zero with wind chills as low as -35.
Oh, next week is going to be bad for us too because we're supposed to get heavy snow coming in Tuesday night into Wednesday.
Yeah, it's going to be a real bad. Mainly, we're not going to get a lot of snow. We're just going to get a lot of just horrible bone brittling cold. So, I mean, -35 is nothing to joke about. I mean, I've been living up here 33 years and it sucks. But let's get to the matriarch of the patriarch of this show. And no, he will not talk about your dead fathers because he's not Christian Cage. He is my heavy metal brother from North Carolina. A man who when it comes to his sports opinions, he has cero miedo, just like Penta was on Monday Night Raw last night in his debut. Ladies and gentlemen, Big Steven F. Wyand. What's going on, my man?
Yeah, and unlike Christian Cage, I'm not a dick, so there's that.
No, that's debatable.
Yeah, that is debatable. I mean, he may not be a dick, but he is still the world's biggest Carolina Panthers fan out there in the world.
That is bullshit.
Dude, I'm sorry, but that is more debatable than that opinion from, I think it was SVP, that Dallas is a place where people want to go coach. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight. So excited to be back here with you guys for our second show of 2025. Looking forward to covering everything in between, from Jimmy Butler's nonsensical crap with the Miami Heat and all of his rules and regulations that he wants to do. And also the NFL playoffs are hot and heavy. And there's obviously, like Joey said and Ezra said, some Major League Baseball news to get to as well. There's a lot to cover tonight. So let's talk a lot more action. Let's go, fellas.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? I know we usually save the football news for later on in the show, but obviously I want to get into some of it now. So let's talk about it, and let's talk about the breaking news that happened in the world of one AT&T Stadium and Jerry Jones. And that is that the Dallas Cowboys have officially fired Mike McCarthy. And a lot of people thought, from every expert, from Adam Schefter to Chris Broussard to Herm Edwards, they all thought that Mike McCarthy was going to stick around in Dallas, and they all thought that he was a shoo-in to stay at least another season. Well, apparently talks have not. Well, Jerry Jones and him have had talks. Those talks have not been about an extension of a contract. So it came to the point where talks broke down and it was all over. Now Mike McCarthy is on the search of a coaching job. And some of the big targets, of course, people are saying one would be New Orleans, the other being Chicago, which if Chicago gets him, I will be a Green Bay Packers fan after that. But, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts? We'll start off with Joey. Joey, your thoughts on Cowboys finally pitching out Mike McCarthy. And who do you think they're going to get to fill that vacant coaching spot in Dallas?
Well, I mean, in regards to the whole Mike McCarthy situation, I mean, this is pretty much, I would say, let's see, what's the words I'm looking for? Oh yeah, a waste of time. I mean, come on. Yes, Mike McCarthy, his first 3 years as head coach, went a combined, 36-15 in the regular season.
I believe that's what it was, yeah.
And he went, and of course, he only got the one playoff win, but, and again, it's the playoffs. Dallas don't know how to stay in for nothing. But you have one bad year in which your 240 or whatever it is $1 million quarterback gets severely injures his hamstring in week 9. You lose your so-called number 1 receiver for the last 2 weeks of the season, and you stumble to, what was it, a 7-10 finish for Dallas this year, I think it was.
Yeah, I believe
So, I mean, yeah, you had one bad year. Big whoop-de-doo. It happens. I mean, shoot. The New York Giants kept head coach Brian Daboll when they finished, 3-14 this year? I'm surprised he still has a job, to be honest with you.
Agreed.
But Mike McCarthy, I mean, you can't deny what the man has done. Yes, he hasn't really had a lot of success in the playoffs, but he at least has a Super Bowl championship, or at least he has an NFL championship, because he was the head coach for the Packers whenever they beat the Steelers, 15 years ago in the Super Bowl?
Next year, yep.
Yeah,
15
Yeah,
years
he
ago.
does. He does have that one NFL championship.
Did you turn off it?
It's ridiculous, to think that, okay, I get that Jerry Jones, is the team president and owner of this organization. And yes, the Cowboys did struggle during the regular season this past year with the multitude of injuries that they sustained during the regular season, with Prescott going down with the hamstring injury, like Joey pointed out, and also the fact that Ezekiel Elliott, even though he wasn't injured, but he was a complete unreliable, target on the offensive side of the ball, because he just couldn't get the running game going all year long, and the offensive line was battled with injuries, and the receivers were inconsistent except for CD Lamb.
And
CD
see-
Lamb was the only receiver that actually was consistent on the field.
And there you go. That was my next point. Once again, you bring in Ezekiel Elliott, who had one good year, maybe a year and a half as far as good years. But his production was getting smaller as each year came about. He goes to New England, becomes the 1B to Ramondre Stevenson's 1A, and then Dallas is like, oh, well, looks like you've gotten past your struggles. Let's bring you back for another year and see how you do. Yeah, and look where that and look how that went. Once again, Ezekiel Elliott's production dwindled, which means he just doesn't really have it anymore, which is why Dallas released him for the second time. And if they even try to bring him back a third time after about a year or two, you might as well just go ahead and throw a blanket in that Salvation Army kettle, because that's where he's going to be staying for the rest of his life. But as far as potential coaches who can take the Dallas spot, yeah, I know everybody is talking about Deion Sanders, and it would be a pretty decent hire. But I have two problems with that statement. Statement number one, Deion Sanders himself, and obviously I know this is not going to happen at any point unless a rabbit gets pulled out of a magician's hat, but Deion Sanders himself was saying the only way that I'll leave Colorado to come coach the NFL is if I can coach my two sons, Shiloh and Shador, on the same team. Well, we all know that's not going to happen because, well, Shador Sanders, he's probably going to go number one overall to Tennessee. No surprise there. And of course, Tennessee, that's another train wreck for another. That's another train wreck for another day. But here's my second and more realistic problem: Jerry Jones's checkbook. Because if he wants to bring Deion Sanders in from Colorado to be the Dallas Cowboys head coach, Jerry Jones is going to have to get out his checkbook and write a nice little check to the University of Colorado for $8 million. Why? Because that's his contract buyout as the Colorado head coach. $8 million. So
we all know that Jerry Jones is notoriously cheap. It does not like to spend money.
No. And if Jerry Jones really wants to bring in Deion to be the next head coach, you better get out your checkbook because you're going to be writing one for $8 million to give to the University of Colorado if you really want him to come on board. So, I mean, there are other coaching prospects out there, and I'm going to throw some names out there real quick. Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson, former head coach Ron Rivera, another former head coach and current ESPN analyst Rex Ryan, Cliff Kingsbury, the Washington offensive coordinator, which, my God, he better not go over there to Dallas. But yeah, there are so many other coaching prospects out there. So for Jerry Jones to be so set on one guy, that's not good. Because if you really want to find the best head coach for your program or for your organization, you need to broaden your horizons. You need to conduct interviews. You need to find the best coaching prospect possible. But of course, regardless of who Dallas gets for their next head coach, if they can get, if he can get into the NFC Championship, heck, even the Super Bowl, that's already going to be a win right there because they haven't tasted that glory in 30 years.
Yeah, and you were talking about Mike McCarthy's track record. He is, according to this stat, he is in the Dallas, his tenure with Dallas, which of course was 5 seasons. He's 49-35 with only one playoff appearance, but still, he's got a pretty decent track record. He had 3 winning seasons out of those 5, including from 2021 through 2023, where he was 12-5 in all 3 seasons, including 2 times being first including winning the NFC East title. So,
and who would have thought that Mike McCarthy leads this team to its best record, better than obviously Jason Garrett was with the Cowboys all those years. I mean, his record alone in his seasons with Dallas is way better than Garrett's record was. And I'm a little surprised that McCarthy was shown the door this early because Jerry Jones, prototypically, just like the Pittsburgh Steelers organization, they do not fire head coaches. They've never fired a head coach, this early on.
Yeah.
The only other one that this kind of reminds me of is when Johnson was fired after he led them to 2 consecutive Super Bowl titles. Because he started coaching the Cowboys, I believe, around 89, something like that, and then it took him a little bit to get there, but they made the right draft pieces with Smith and Aikman and Irvin. I mean, those 3 cornerstone pieces on their offense, to get them to those 2 Super Bowl titles. And then Jerry Jones was hell bent on running the organization himself, so that's why he fired Johnson. And as we all know, that Switzer led them to the Super Bowl title, their last Super Bowl title, nearly 30 years ago. This upcoming season will mark 30 years since the Cowboys have last won a Super Bowl, and the last time they've been to the NFC Championship game. So there's that. So when you look at Jerry Jones and the way he operates as an owner and team president of the NFL, he wants to have full, complete control on who the head coach is. He doesn't want a head coach out there that's going to be out there, be boisterous, and
be up in the players' faces and say, "Nah, we're not doing that." The last head coach that was like that was the great Bill Parcells. That was the last head coach that said, "Nah, the hell with your schemes and then the way you're managing his team. When I'm on that field, you got to give me full control and full responsibility so I can do my job." Because Mike McCarthy, yeah, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but Mike McCarthy, was just another one of Jerry's puppets, and he was pulling all the strings. And it's ridiculous because when you look at how he's reacting, Jerry is. I mean, listen to the way he sounds in these interviews on the radio and in the post press conferences when the Cowboys win or lose. He sounds like a complete freaking idiot. I mean, just some of the things he says, it makes no sense. I'm like, what are you trying to say, Jones? Because the stuff that you're saying, it's like you're talking out of your ass. I mean, just some of the things he's saying, I'm like, are you speaking coherently? Because you can't even form a complete sentence right now. I'm legitimately worried about this man. He's old. And just like in the world of professional wrestling and wrestling passed Vince McMahon by, the world of the NFL has passed Jerry Jones by. And Jerry Jones has full, complete control of this organization. And the only way that this team is going to do anything is he relinquishes being the team owner or the general manager of this team. You could be the owner. I don't give a damn. But you got to have somebody out there who can also, do those things, that can make the moves. Because he claimed to be all in. That's a crock of shit because he didn't do nothing during the offseason last year. The only moves he made for the Cowboys was signing Prescott to that maximum deal before the season started and CeeDee Lamb during the middle of the season. I mean, it's ridiculous. Or it was before the season. Still, he signed both of these players to maximum deals before the season really even got going. And it's like the focus of the Cowboys went away. Because as we all know, Micah Parsons has been busy with his podcast. And I really think that Micah Parsons messed this team up too. Because, talking about, the league and focus on that. I mean, it's cool to have your podcast, dude. But come on. You got to be focused on your team. You know what I mean? It's just I don't care who they have as their head coach. The Cowboys are not going to go far as long as Jerry Jones is team president and owner of this organization.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to other head coaching situations. Obviously, the news broke this past week that Mike Vrabel will be turning to the New England Patriots as the new head coach.
I wonder, will Robert Kraft be regretting this move after this season? Because I don't see the Patriots doing nothing either.
Well, here's the thing. He got rid of Gerard Mayo, which turned Gerard Mayo from Kraft Mayo to discounted Mayo. So,
Yeah, pretty much.
Mhm.
So you have that. But I don't know. Yeah, he wasn't that good of a head coach in Tennessee, but you never know. You never know what the situation. Sometimes a new shall we say a new or quote unquote familiar territory can sometimes change fortunes around. You never know. You may never know. He might be turned to be the next fucking Bill Belichick. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
I know it's not possible, but I'm just saying. You sometimes even for coaches, a change of scenery can be good for them and reinvigorate themselves. I would look, as much as I love Nashville and I love that city to death, and it's my second home. Well, third home outside of course the Windy City, Chicago. But look, the football scene has not been good there for decades. And unfortunately for a lot of these coaches, they get trapped in that scenario and it takes. And Tennessee has not really had that good of a good luck in the world of football in a long, long time. But obviously I don't see a change, but you never know. Stranger things happen in sports. We've seen teams that have been complete shit come next thing you know, a season later with a coaching change and new players end up becoming Super Bowl champions or NBA champions.
yeah, that's true.
So
But,
I'm not putting a lot of stock into it, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I get it. But I was talking to Steven the other day, and we were talking about Vrabel being the head coach at New England, and I brought something up. I'm hoping this will play on my microphone, but this is the first thing that I thought about whenever I saw that Vrabel was going to be the next head coach.
Stop it, fucking stop it right fucking now. What have we learned with the Indianapolis Colts and Jeff Saturday? Just because he's an all-time team great doesn't mean he needs to be a fucking head coach.
That's the first thing I thought about whenever I saw the news. I was like, man. One of Kevin's all-time famous rants.
Well, Steven.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
Oh my God! Again, Mike Vrabel. He had some decent season with Tennessee, but his track record. It's not great because just not good, not good. And it's going to be interesting to see, how he does, with second-year quarterback Drake May, because Drake May, he's not a complete star, quarterback, but he did, have some times last year where he made some, dazzling plays, and there were times where, May's, inexperience, quarterbacking abilities, came out because of throwing interceptions in these games, and fumbling the ball. But Drake May, he's a pretty talented quarterback, and going into his second year, as a pro, maybe Vrabel and company, can get him back into the film room, and like watch what he did, as mistakes to let him, get some reps in before the season starts, because as we all know, we have seen quarterbacks in the NFL that struggle during their rookie year, and then by year 2 or year 3, look out, they're star players in the making.
Yeah, and I was going to say the same thing. It's the same thing that Vrabel's got a good system to work with and a great young quarterback to really try to help mold, because, like you said, Drake May's got a lot of promise.
He does.
He did as well as he could with the resources he had in New England, and he had some shining moments. And obviously, the draft is going to be very important. Free agency is going to be very important.
Very important.
Got to see what New England has in cap space to be able to make those proper moves. And can Robert Kraft and company be able to pick those proper pieces to build around Drake May and to give Mike Vrabel a chance to be able to have some sort of success as a head coach? Obviously, we're not going to know for another couple months, but we'll see. Obviously, we got had that going on. Obviously, there's other coaching changes. Obviously, a lot of teams have had interviews with all the different head coaches. Obviously, with Eric Glenn, Ben Johnson, Ron Rivera, Pete Carroll. Mike McCarthy's is going to be now open for interviews, obviously. So there's still a lot of opportunity for teams who don't have a head coaching spot. Obviously, the Bears are also looking at possibly even bringing back Thomas Brown, the guy who took over at the end of the season for Chicago when they fired Matt Eberflus. So, you're looking at different scenarios that could come into play. Obviously, we're going to keep an eye on this in over the next couple weeks, months. And then we'll report on it that next Tuesday when we go live on the show. But in other news, outside of that, outside of the head coaching spots, we mentioned about primetime Deion Sanders, about his interest in Dallas, but that's whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's not worth the time. Because it's just interest. It's not like there's actually some details being built around it. So, but so of course, all right here, Brian Gaine has been interviewed for a general manager position with the New York Jets. So there's that. Former Panthers special teams coordinator and interim head coach Chris Tabor has been interviewed for the 49ers special teams coordinator position. Falcons have interviewed Wink Martindale for their defensive coordinator opening. So there's that.
Speaking of defensive coordinators, last week, I don't know if you mentioned this, but the Bengals have fired their defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Yep. According to Adam Schefter, he believes that Aaron Glenn and he believes that or Aaron Glenn is going to end up as the head coach of the New York Jets.
Interesting.
Interesting.
The Texans have waived Deontay Johnson today, which makes
And he has done some serious bouncing around the league this year, for real.
Yep, Pittsburgh, Carolina, and Baltimore before that. And also, speaking of other coaching things, there's a new offensive coordinator in Cleveland, and his name is Tommy Rees. So
Maybe he can help the Brownies get more than 16 points average this season.
Don't hold your breath.
Nah, I'm not. It's Cleveland we're talking about.
Yeah, yeah, you have a better chance of AEW's ratings going up than that happening. Oh wait, did I say that? I apologize.
The Cleveland Browns are basically maximum carnage, if you will.
Ooh.
Well, that's all. That also can go for the Jets, go for the Cowboys.
Yeah, pretty much. Texas Longhorns wide receiver Isaiah Bond is leaving school early to enter the NFL draft. He ranks as the number 6 wide receiver in Mel Kiper Jr.'s NFL draft rankings. Let's see what else here. Obviously, we're going to get into the games in just a minute. I'm just going through some of the quick news reports and all that. Also, the Bears have requested an interview with Packers offensive coordinator Adam Stanovich. So, we'll take him. We'll take anything Green Bay and turn it into Chicago. Let's fucking go on that.
Speaking of Green Bay, turn to Chicago. What are your thoughts of potentially Mike McCarthy could be down the line, could be the coach of the Bears? You as a longtime Bears fan, what are your thoughts?
Look, as much as I've said I would turn into a Green Bay fan like McCarthy, look, there's no doubting his track record. If you look at, yes, he's had some disappointing seasons. Yes, but any coach has had that. It doesn't matter if you're Bill Belichick. It doesn't matter if you're Mike Vrabel. It doesn't matter if you're freaking Lovie Smith. It doesn't matter if you're freaking, whoever it is. Kevin Stefanski, whoever the head coaches are. Everybody has their downfalls. Mike McCarthy's had some bad seasons, but if you look at his time in Green Bay, he's had a lot of winning seasons, playoff appearances, wild card appearances. That's the things that we need in Chicago.
NFC Championship games.
Yeah,
a Super Bowl appearance with Green Bay.
Super Bowl appearance, yes. He's had all of that. To be honest, I wouldn't mind it if we did. Obviously, my pick, I want personally Aaron Glenn, Ben Johnson, even Ron Rivera to come back, because Rivera is somebody also who knows the Bears culture, because he's a former player. He knows exactly what
and he led the Bears as a defensive coordinator to the Super Bowl against the Colts.
Yeah, absolutely. So he knows that system and he knows that organization better than anybody. Mike McCarthy as a head coach would not be a bad idea. We got to get the right components around him as well. Obviously, we got to get a new O-line. Obviously, we got to make some upgrades to the O-line. We got to get maybe a couple more additions on defense, but mainly that offensive line is our biggest Achilles heel, because we saw especially last year, Caleb Williams had literally no time to throw because the pocket kept collapsing on him. So we need to upgrade that. But if we could get somebody like a Mike McCarthy, somebody like I said, a Ron Rivera, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, we get somebody like that who has winning records and can lead us to those playoff appearances, wild card appearances, and get us step by step into a winning franchise again, then I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can't really deny the great stats that Caleb Williams put up this year. Yeah, it was a bad year record-wise, but as far as the stats that Caleb Williams put up, yeah, he had some he had a few rough games here and there, but of course that's normal for any NFL quarterback. But as far as the stats he put up this year, I mean the stats were pretty impressive. So, I mean there is some promise there. The Bears just need to really revamp their offensive line.
Yeah, and the thing is also too is that Caleb also too. Look, we're not going to expect Caleb Williams to be the next Tom Brady. Come on.
Oh heck
We're
no.
expecting Caleb to, as the number 1 draft pick, to put up good numbers, and he has. He had a good season this year. There's no denying it. Obviously, what's killing him as a quarterback is not having time to throw the ball. He's throwing the ball
Yeah.
over. He's throwing it short. Why is that? Because the pocket keeps collapsing. He's having to
The
scramble.
O-line.
With no O-line helping him, he's having to scramble and make poor decisions, which is either overthrowing the ball, it gets picked off, whatever the case may be. We need a better and stronger offensive line to give Caleb Williams time in the pocket to be able to connect to guys like Keenan Allen and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet. You know, unfortunately that's the problem we're in. But as far as Mike McCarthy goes, I wouldn't mind if he was the head coach. He has a track record that proves that he does bring success. So we'll see what happens from here on out. And if he does get it, so be it. But you know what, let's go ahead and as far as I really don't see too much of outside of course the injury stuff, which we'll get into as we go through the games, you know, from this past week, because yeah, especially one particular game, yikes. As far as the injury bug hitting.
Yeah.
But I'm pulling up the games right now. If this thing wouldn't be a piece of garbage. Gotta love NFL.com, folks. We had what, 5 or 6 wildcard games this year. Or this. So let me see here. All right, here we go. Obviously, we had some great games this week. This weekend for the wild card. We started off with the Chargers and the Texans. The Texans winning in a kind of an ugly battle, 32-12. Neither team looked good. Texans especially. They got some great plays on defensive and special teams, but the offense did not look good.
Nah, and the one stat that still blows my mind is going into the game, Justin Herbert had only thrown 3 interceptions all season. He throws 4 in this one game alone.
Including a pick
4.
6 and almost a second pick 6.
Yep.
Justin Herbert, he looked lost. He looked lost.
And also, it's interesting to note that the Chargers' record when they don't rush over 70-plus yards, it's not good. If they rush under that, including 50 yards or lower, they have an under 500 record. I mean, it is just damning statistics.
Like,
and
you got to give credit to that to the Texas defense. The Texas defense was on point in certain spots. I mean, seriously, special teams, defense, they were all over. They were all over Justin Herbert, man. And
Joe Mixon looked good on the offense for Houston. Like, he was pummeling their defense. And CJ Stroud did make some plays, but to me, Joe Mixon was the guiding, offensive light that led the Texans to this victory.
I agree. Obviously, and then we had another AFC wildcard matchup. And of course, that was the Ravens and the Steelers, which of course we all know those games are usually dogfights, but not this time. Baltimore came in to play, and Lamar and company showed why they are not the best team in all of NFL, man. Especially with Lamar proving he's one of the most dynamic quarterbacks in the entire league.
And Derrick Henry, Jesus, I mean,
that is the thing we discussed last night on our Zoom call, Steven. Derrick Henry is the most powerful running back I've seen in a long, long time. You leave any little bit of space, if that defense gets caught by that offensive line and leaves any space for Derrick Henry open, he's going to use his power and his speed to burst through there and get that extra yardage. When you do, it's hard to stop him because he's got, like I said, he's big, he's got that power, and he's able to blast through defenders. So, I mean, that's going to be the thing that Buffalo is going to have to really, really, really step up for. We'll get into that preview stuff.
And when you look at the way Pittsburgh played in these last 5 games, because heading into this game against Baltimore, they lost 4 consecutive games in a row.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday night in Baltimore, they had every opportunity. It's a clean slate, 0-0. You're coming into that game, you're in the tournament, you're in the dance. Nothing. Your backs are against the wall. It's all or nothing. And the entire Pittsburgh Steelers secondary and front 7 quit. They quit by the end of that first half when Baltimore jumped up on them 21-0. I mean, it was stunning how the Pittsburgh Steelers just laid there in a heap and quit. Like, that was not the Pittsburgh Steelers that I have known over the last, 15, 20 years. Nearly 20 years since Tomlin's been there as the head coach. Because the Steeler way has always been a very competitive fighting spirit, even if you win or lose in the playoffs. Even when they faced Green Bay in that Super Bowl 15 seasons ago, it was a great game, but Pittsburgh lost. You can't win them all. Roethlisberger has 2 Super Bowls. And the one thing that is haunting Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh is ever since that Super Bowl loss to Green Bay in 2010-11 season, they have not been back to the Super Bowl. The last deep run that they made is when Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown and company and the Killer Bees led the Steelers to the AFC Championship game against the New England Patriots. That was around, 2017? Something like that, 2017?
Believe so, yeah.
2018, something like that. Because in 17, that's when Jacksonville snuck up on them during the 18 season. It was 17 season into the 18 playoffs. It was crazy because, in going into this season, Justin Fields was the quarterback. There was this quarterback competition, and Tomlin yanks the quarterbacking starting role from Fields and gives it to Russell Wilson. We are like, what the hell are you doing? And then he proved us wrong for about 5-6 weeks. And then after that, Chef Russ was not cooking good. He was cooking nothing but shit, and he kept throwing interceptions and missing targets and also receivers dropping balls. That's not his fault because George Pickens, demands the ball, give me the ball. And then he just drops the ball. And the defense, I don't know what's going on with that unit because in the last 5 to 7, 8 weeks, they have looked very, very vulnerable, and it showed in their last 5 games that they lost. 4 in the regular season, and then this ugly ass whipping in Baltimore. It was not even close. I mean, it's one thing to lose by, 10, 13, and at least you're trying. You're trying to make a comeback to get in the game. But it's like they just quit. You can't be like that. Because the Steelers have won 80 regular season games in the last 7 years or so. And they have lost 6 consecutive playoff games. That is not good. Not good. Ridiculous. And the Mike Tomlin way is he's going to finish over 500, potentially. And more than likely, knowing how the competition in the AFC side of things is very thick and really heavy, with Cincinnati and Buffalo and Kansas City and Baltimore and all that. I mean, it's not going to be easy for Tomlin to lead another Steeler team to another Lombardi trophy.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick on some stats from the game here. We had some. Hold on, lost my place here. Here it is. Russell Wilson had a really good game throwing 20-29, 272 touchdowns, no picks. However, however, rushing wise, yardage, listen to this: 29 yards rushing.
Oh,
That's it.
and this team was doing good when they were running the ball predominantly, mixing it up with the run with the pass. It's like Mike Tomlin got away from the running game.
Yeah, it was not a good game for them. Joey, you have any thoughts on this?
No, not really. I mean, we all knew
Well,
it
thank
was
you.
gonna.
You're a lot of help.
We all knew. I mean, we all knew it was going to be a blowout, and yeah, the final score was 28-14. But if you look at the stats, like you mentioned earlier, Ezra, this was more like a shutout than it was a 2-touchdown game. Because Pittsburgh just does not have it. I mean, they had it earlier in the year when Russell Wilson came back from his injury, but after that 4-0 start, it just went downhill fast.
Speaking of shutouts, let's talk about this Buffalo Bills game, why don't we? The Bills absolutely wrecking Denver 31-7. You know, and just Josh Allen, once again, man, right up there in that MVP conversation. One hell of a performance. This is for MVP. This is going to be a tight race between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, obviously. But you look at the stats for Josh. For Josh, you got to look at this right here: 20 and 26, 272, 2 touchdowns. Yeah, it doesn't look like a lot, but look at how many. Look at the rushing. We talked about the lack of rushing yards in the last game. There was no lack of rushing yards in this one. Cook, 23 carries for 120 yards and a touchdown. Josh Allen, 8 carries for 46 yards. Johnson, 9 carries for 44 yards. And you look at Curtis Samuel, 3 catches, 68 yards and a touchdown. I mean, overall, this was one of that team's best performances.
And real quick, before we continue with the Buffalo game, the pivot back to the Baltimore and Steelers game real quick.
Yeah.
Speaking of rushing, the Ravens had nearly 300 yards rushing on the ground. 299. Insane statistics. Like, the way that Jackson and Henry are playing the last 7-8 weeks, I do not want to play them. I do not want to play them. And that's a nice little segue to Buffalo. Buffalo, looked really, really good against Denver. The Broncos had one offensive drive that was quick and precise, and that was the opening touchdown pass thrown by Bo Nix. That was quick. I mean, I was like, whoa, we're in for a game, folks. And then
Buffalo decided they wanted to play some defense and took over.
And the doink missed field goal by Denver. That right there was a sign that this game was pretty much in the bags.
Yeah, definitely. I just saw something that I am like trying not to laugh. WWE posted things, said, "Who is your dream opponent for Penta?" Dom Mysterio posted it, tagged the thing that says at CM Punk, and it's a GIF of Punk and Penta going for something off the top rope. Punk slips and Penta has to roll with it. So a botch, basically, in that retrospect. Dom once again being the consummate heel. Thank you very much. But no, let's talk about that Buffalo game. But yeah, like I said, Buffalo had over 200 yards on the ground just alone in that.
Mm-hmm.
And it 272 passing yards. So
and Josh Allen also pulled a Houdini play out of his ass. I mean, that was incredible. I mean, to go from looking like he's going to be sacked and they're still kind of in field goal range, but it'll be a difficult field goal. He just lobs it up. Touchdown.
By the way, 471 to 224 in total yards.
Wow.
For that game. Also, too, I'm mad at the refs on that game for one reason. They took away that pick 6 from DeMar Hamlin.
Yes.
I was so mad. I was smiling from ear to ear, happy as hell that he got it. And then they'd say, "Oh no, it's an incomplete pass." I'm like, "You motherfuckers!" I was so mad. I was raging because I was like, "Come on, he had that, bastards." Okay, moving on. Let's talk about this. The game that made my heart warm the entire whole fucking weekend.
And
And
here
that
we
was
go.
the Philadelphia Eagles sending those motherfucking cheeseheads home with their cheese between their legs, shipping them back to Green Bay. And they can have fun paying the Lambo tax for their tickets for their way home, by the way, as well. But no, seriously. Look, this game was riddled with injuries. I will say that much. And that did affect the game on both sides of the ball, especially Green Bay. Green Bay, of course, was going into the game without Christian Watson. He tore his ACL last week, and he's done for the year. Obviously, they suffered a few more injuries, including another knee injury to another player. Green Bay lost a lot of players, and especially in the last couple minutes, they lost 2 or 3 players to injuries. And it was not a good game. It was not a good game if you were a player in the NFL, for sure. But got to give credit to Philly. I mean, it wasn't their best performance offensively at all, but it was enough to get the job done. Jalen Hurts did not have the most remarkable day passing. Don't get me wrong. I was expecting him, and especially with him coming up, being on concussion protocol, being out for a couple weeks. You know, there expected to be some rust. And it seemed like there was just a little bit of rust. But give credit where credit is due to the running game. To Saquon Barkley. I mean, did he have numbers beyond numbers? Was he like breaking records? No, of course not.
He just said Saquon Barkley things.
But the thing is, listen to this stat. Where he is best is in the second half, and that's what he was. He was best in the second half. From before that game, 1,200 of his 2,000 yards during the season comes in the second half of the game. So yeah, that was a stat that I forget who it was. It was either Howie or Terry Bradshaw said on Fox NFL Sun on the Fox pregame was that over 60% of his yards come in the second half of the game. So, and Jordan Love did not have a bad game. Well, he had a bad game in the sense of he threw 3 picks. But yardage-wise, he did well. Jacobs had 18 carries for 81 yards. But yeah, he could not get the offense going. He just could not get the offense going. Jalen Hurts was only 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. But Saquon Barkley, 25 carries for 119 yards. And Dotson and Goddard were on point. And then, of course, the defense getting those 3 interceptions.
And Dallas Goedert with 3 consecutive stiff arms on the way to the end zone for a touchdown.
Oh, yeah, that was one of my favorite plays of the weekend. Just stiff arm, stiff arm, stiff arm. I'm like, wow. I remember that. You just reminded me of that play. That was
an incredible play.
Oh, dude. Yeah, so, well, yeah, the Eagles beat Green Bay, and they move on.
And also, speaking of injuries, the Packers were riddled with injuries in this game.
Yeah,
I mean,
I mentioned at the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, their 2 tackles and their center, and Jordan Love obviously banged up, and Love had multiple interceptions in this game. Just it was not a good day at the office for Green Bay, but it was a good day at the office for you, Ezra, and all the Chicago Bear fans around the world. I mean, this was not one of those years where the number 7 seed shocks the number 2 seed all over again. I mean, because even though Philadelphia, their defense did look strong, their offense looked, like you said, very shaky. But they're gonna have to be very, very consistent next week, and we're gonna get to that one when we get to the divisional previews as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely, it was a good game for us Bears fans and all that. But we got to talk about the game that, of course, one guy in this team got the lucky bounce. Let's just say that much, and that was a really hard-fought matchup between the Buccaneers and the Commanders. Man, Baker Mayfield once again proving why he is a guy who is, while sometimes uneven with his play, when he's on, he's on.
And Mike Evans is just a freak of freaks. I mean, 7 catches for 92 yards and a TD. I mean, him and Lattimore were battling on that field.
I think doesn't he have like 11 straight seasons with 1,000 yards?
He does, tying himself with Jerry Rice.
Yeah, absolutely, just an absolute beast. But man, let's talk about that. That game was back and forth, back and forth. Jaden Daniels, I give him a lot of credit. That guy had a lot of poise. 268 yards, 24-35 with 2 TDs, no picks. And when you're dealing with a Buccaneers team like they are, and you're a young quarterback, that right there, I will say that much. That Daniels, for him being so new to this to all this, he had a lot of poise. He had a lot of focus. He had a great offensive line behind him. I think much. And
22 years old. The kid is unfazed by the pressure.
He's like a 10-year vet in the NFL. It's insane his progress.
And Scary Terry, he has developed a chemistry with Daniels, the young kid. I mean, just what an incredible dynamic duo these guys are. I mean, you talk about Mayfield and Evans being great, which they are, but Scary Terry and Jaden Daniels are just incredible as well.
That's my dynamic duo right there, baby.
But you also can't forget about De'Ami Brown as well. 5 catches, 89 yards, 17.8 yards a carry.
5 catches, 5 targets, and also another key piece to that win for the Commanders, Zach Ertz.
Yeah,
Zach Ertz. Yep, Zach Ertz is great. Even Austin Eckler had some good moments.
Oh yeah, especially that screen pass. That was phenomenal.
But man, that kick. You got the lucky bounce on that, Joey. And man, that was one.
Yeah, we did.
I was sitting there watching that game, bated breath, nervous for you. Mind you, it's not even my team. Mind you, it's not my team. It's not Chicago. But I'm nervous for you. And I'm sitting there and I watch the ball and I see it hit the post. I'm like, they lost. Then it goes back behind. I'm like, they pulled it off.
Yeah, it was about to go to overtime, but the lucky bounce.
Something that the Chicago Bears kicker couldn't do.
Oh!
I agree. Cody Parkey is a piece of shit.
I mean, you talk about the doinks going up against the Broncos during that Bills game. That was the luckiest doink of doinks, just like the Kansas City doink of doinks against the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. I mean, that was because let's be honest, guys. And I said during the game, I said, if I am the Commanders on this 3rd down, because the Commanders got the ball back after the Buccaneers had a chance to possibly, be aggressive and go, get the 1st down, and milk the clock, and go for the touchdown or the field goal, to go up by 3 or go up by 7. And I understand why to tie the game or go up by 4. And I can understand why the Bucs fans, were disgruntled and like, I get it. Take the points. I get it. But as soon as they kicked the field goal, that right there played into the Commanders' hands because all they had to do was just get the ball down the field, and don't turn the ball over. Don't get behind the sticks. And the Commanders did just that. I mean, they stayed ahead on schedule a lot of times. And then even the times that they did get behind the sticks, they found a way to get out of that trouble. And they made play after play after play. And then heading into the Buccaneers red zone side of the field, I said during the game on Zoom, I said what I would do is I would fake I'm going to run the ball with my running back, and then I would do play action and run the ball with Daniels to get the 1st down. Well, that almost didn't work because they had him at the 30. If they hit him in the play field, and, the level of the playing field, they got to call their timeout. And that field goal is going to probably doink and miss. And the game is going to be tied going into overtime. But by Daniels getting the 1st down, that allowed them to milk the clock and to get them in position to win the game. It was obviously the best game of the weekend. the best game of the entire wildcard round. Great game by both teams. Both teams played hard, valiant efforts, and gave it their all.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as Jaden Daniels is concerned, I mean, the guy is definitely in another league. I mean, nobody expected us to go this far this year. Nobody even expected us to win even close to the amount of games that we won this year. But we are literally so far ahead of our progression right now that I'm already looking forward to seeing what next year's gonna bring if push comes to shove. But I got two stats that I'm gonna read real quick, then we can move on to the next one. The first one is Jaden Daniels' supremacy against blitz defenses. Jaden Daniels has a 90.3 QBR when facing a blitz. That is almost unheard of for a rookie quarterback. 90.3. You don't see that ever. And also, I came across this stat yesterday actually, because I'm in a lot of Commanders fan group pages on Facebook, and one of them pointed something out saying, in the entire history of the NFL, there has been one quarterback who 3 separate times during the NFL season during his rookie year wielded no punts and no turnovers for an entire game. And of course, that man is Jaden Daniels. It has happened 3 times in his rookie season, and that is more than Joe Montana, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Patrick Mahomes combined. Because those 4 combined, only 2 times.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, that is impressive.
I mean,
you just cannot deny that Jaden Daniels is the man right now in Washington.
he is a leader, and he's 22 years old. He has ice water in his veins, cold-blooded, clutch play after clutch play. He really reminds me of how Patrick Mahomes has been the last 7, 8 seasons. I mean, just within doubt, when you think that he can't do something magical, he pulls a rabbit out of the hat. And just how incredible Jaden has been under the pressure against Philadelphia, against Chicago, almost pulling out the victory against the Cowboys with that 80-plus yard touchdown to Scary Terry. You know, I mean, it is incredible. Like, and Terry McLaurin, like, he's obviously happy, and he deserves to be happy because he's experienced, great seasons of 1,000 plus receiving yards and, multitude of touchdowns, but with a lot of quarterbacks that were not great and offensive lines that were not consistent in protecting the quarterback. Now that he has a new, locker room regime and obviously an owner and a general manager that gives a damn on how this team is. When I look at how the Commanders are this season, they have nothing to be ashamed of. Because if they go on to lose in the divisional round, or if they even somehow pull out the win and make it to the championship game, or even the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter where they go further now. Because no matter what, mission accomplished, fellas. Because right now, you have no pressure on yourselves. You're playing with house money on the table. Jaden Daniels is walking into the Motor City. He has no pressure on him. None. I mean, it would be one hell of a story if the Commanders, after getting rid of the disease, the cancer, that is Daniel Snyder. Getting rid of him and getting new ownership and general managers, Josh Harris and company, has really done a fine job at managing and organizing this team to get them to believe into a system, a blueprint that they can do something magical. And this Commanders team is on a true magic carpet ride. It is insane what's happening right now.
Absolutely. And then, of course, the final game of these wild card rounds was the Rams and the Vikings, and it was the game known as the meltdown of one Sam Darnold.
Yep. And like Kevin Rory put a post on Facebook regarding this, he said, Sam Darnold sure picked the wrong time to go back to, well, Sam Darnold. And he's right.
I'm going to send you guys a video in our chat when we're done with the show. And it's Urinating Tree.
I was about to say, please tell me it's from Urinating Tree.
It is. And it's basically comparing him to, like, working at McDonald's. And,
Oh, I cannot wait for this.
like him placing an order at McDonald's or working at McDonald's or whatever. Like, it was hilarious. I mean,
oh, I cannot wait for this.
Because Sam Darnold, in these last 2 weeks, picked the worst time to play his worst outing as a professional quarterback. And also, mind you, the Minnesota Vikings are the very first team in NFL history to be a wild card team and win 14 games in a regular season. That also has to do with the effect of how many games we're playing now. Pretty soon it's going to go 18-19. I mean, that's coming, down the line. Because more football, damn it, and more money. But Sam Darnold picked the worst times to play in the NFL as a starting quarterback when the pressure was on, his back. Last week against Detroit, he overthrew wide receivers at the wide receivers, missing throws, missing assignments. And the offensive line was doing their job. He just wasn't doing his job. They scored 9 pissing points. This week against the Rams, you would think, and unfortunately with all the disasters in Los Angeles with the wildfires that has claimed homes and businesses and unfortunately some lives, within these wildfires. And we send our thoughts and our prayers to the entire families and friends and everybody out there in LA and the surrounding areas in California during this horrific tragedy. But as we all know in sports, fellas, we have seen teams rise under these circumstances and put out some of their best outings in their respective sports fields. And just the way the Vikings had, they could have walked into this game thinking, okay, it's a neutral site. We're not at their field. We're in neutral territory. It's anybody's ball game. There could be Vikings fans. There could be Rams fans. It's a middle ground situation. But Sam Darnold shows up and had the worst game of this season. And you thought last week was bad. Oh, this week it was even worse. I mean, interceptions and that fumble when they were down by 7 at 10-3 in the second quarter. When he fumbled that ball and the Rams defender ran it back 50-plus yards for a touchdown, I knew at that minute in time the game was over. This was ugly. This was humiliating. And the worst statistic of all for Sam Darnold, he was sacked 9 times. 9 times. 9. Pathetic. Pathetic. You know what? Sam Darnold just earned his first-class ticket out as the starting quarterback of the Minnesota Vikings. And it wouldn't surprise me if he plays with the Jets as another backup, or he goes to Raiders, or he goes to the freaking Saints. He goes to the Jaguars. It doesn't make a damn where he goes. Bottom line is, you blew it, pal. You had a golden opportunity. to make a statement that, oh, it's not the same old Darnold anymore. No, no, no. But you had to result back to your days as being the Jets quarterback, being the Carolina Panthers starting quarterback, the Rams starting quarterback. I mean, after all, if I'm not mistaken, Joey, didn't this buffoon win a football game, a so-called professional NFL football game, as a starting quarterback for the Panthers, going 5 of fucking 15 against the Saints? Please. And everybody in Minnesota land was talking about, oh, he's not the same old Sam I Am anymore. This is a brand new quarterback. Yeah. No, that's a crock of crap. Because the way he played last night, if you thought last week was bad, this week was even worse. And for his second consecutive week, the Vikings scored 9 points. So it's very fitting. 9 sacks, 9 points.
Good Lord.
But Matthew Stafford and company had a great game.
All right. Real quick before we move on to some other news, as we wait for maybe hopefully some of our other comrades to join us in a little bit. I did read this, is that, and this is an upcoming joke, so be prepared. A guy working at a Chinese restaurant was severely injured while making a stir fry. Paramedics said he will never walk again. Let's see here. Other news, of course, is the ongoing drama known as the Heat Turns. And we go to the latest episode, which is the face-to-face between Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler. And Jimmy Butler told Pat straight to his face, I want to be traded. I want out.
And you know what he also wanted? His own private jet. I'm not traveling with the team anymore. At this point, somebody needs to remake Benny and the Jets and change it to Jimmy and the Jimmy and the Heat.
Well, Jimmy, like the great Rolling Stones once said, you can't always get what you want.
Exactly. Jimmy and the Heat.
Good Lord, this has been this.
Oh, this is so terrible.
Oh, don't even get me started on this.
The demands that these athletes make, it is so ridiculous. I want this, I want that. No, I'm not traveling with you. I want my own private jet. Come on, man. I mean, this is ridiculous.
It is. I don't know what to say, except for we'll see how it plays out.
And I get it that Miami has struggled, this season, and Jimmy Butler's unhappy. But you can't just up and leave an organization like that. Like, I get it. You're struggling. You're not happy that you're not winning consistently. But you can't just quit on the team. It is just, I don't get the NBA players these days anymore. I really don't. They want. They don't want to deal with what they have and make things better. Because you can't just throw your weight around and this is what I want. This is what you're going to give me. If I was Pat Riley, I would tell him, go screw yourself. I'm not giving you nothing that you want.
Yeah. Let's see here. Also, too, tonight, Kyrie Irving is set to return to the Dallas Mavericks as they play the Nuggets. He's been out for 5 games due to an injury, and he's back. LiAngelo Ball has signed a deal with Def Jam and Universal Music Group. Sources said the deal's worth about as much as $13 million, with $8 million of it guaranteed. He gives Ball full ownership of his music and his own record label. Oh, yeah, and of course, a couple days ago, there was no game for the Rockets and the Hawks because they got hit with all those hazardous icy conditions down there, had to postpone. Oh, yeah, let's talk about this. Zion Williamson suspended for a game for violation of team policies. He was late to Thursday's team flight to Philadelphia, leading the Pelicans to suspend him for that game. From what I heard, he was at the McDonald's all night, feeding his face and not losing weight.
Real quick, shout outs here in the chat to my buddy Don here in the chat. What's going on, man? And shout outs to Brandon here in the chat.
Hello, guys. Good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us as always. Let's see. Of course, there were several games suspended due to the raging wildfires. By the way, we send our very best to everybody impacted by the wildfires in the Los Angeles area. We hope everybody gets the help they need, and to those who have lost family members, parents, friends so far, we send our condolences as well. We want to say that real quick. And please go to redcross.org, and if you can, donate, help out, whatever you could do. Help if you're in the area. Try to help out somewhere, whether it be a soup kitchen, whether it be areas that are housing people who have lost their homes. To help out, bring water, bring clothing, food, non-perishable items, whatever you can to help out, because this is a very trying time in that area. So really, it's pretty much all I got. Yeah, because there wasn't a lot of news coming in the world of that. Let's try Major League Baseball real quick. Joey, do you have any?
Real quick, I want to bring this to you guys' attention. I want to see what you guys think about this. Apparently, before we eventually settled on Dan Quinn to be our next head coach,
Yeah.
One name that we were really wanting to get was Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
Well, on the Rambling with Rio Robinson podcast, I think either earlier today or yesterday, it was revealed that, and I quote, Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson wanted former Commanders quarterback Sam Howell to be the team's quarterback, in which GM Adam Peters told Johnson that he was drafting a quarterback. Adam Peters then made the decision to turn the plane around, canceling the interview. I was like, whoa. Yeah, Ben Johnson wanted Sam Howell as our quarterback. The guy who couldn't do anything for us last year.
Wow.
But yeah, now he's on his way to a possible NFL championship with Detroit.
And yeah, for real. And plus, Ben Johnson, plus other Detroit Lions players have been throwing some shade towards Washington leading up to the matchup on Saturday night. So, Jaden, I hope you're watching, buddy, because we're going to need you full force Saturday night.
Oh, yeah. Here's the Major League Baseball news I wanted to get into, and that is, of course, the two fans who grabbed the ball from Mookie Betts during the World Series have been banned from all stadiums indefinitely.
Good. They need to be.
And speaking of fans, I forgot to mention this. There was a video that went viral this past couple of days of a Philadelphia Eagles fan calling female Green Bay Packers fan a ugly, I'm not going to say the word because that word I don't use in my vocabulary at all. But it's C blank blank blank. You can guess the rest.
And oh, by the way, that same fan has also been fired from his day job.
He has been fired from his day job as a hospitality manager, and he has been banned from Philly games for life. And as a token, not a token, shall we say, as an apology from the Philadelphia Eagles themselves, they have sent this lady and her husband and her fiance some Green Bay Packers gear at their own expense. So that's pretty cool. Very classy move by the Eagles organization on that. Also, the Mariners and infielder Donovan Solano have finalized a $3.5 million one-year contract. So he can earn an additional $1 million too, if he makes a certain quota. And also too, the Dodgers, Padres, and the Blue Jays are now finalists for star Japanese right-hander Roki Sasaki. So those are the major news in the world of Major League Baseball. Let's go ahead and because I don't know if the other two are going to come on right away. Let's go ahead and let's get into what we came to talk about, and that is, of course, the divisional round. And we got some great games to pick in that one. Joey, I know we don't usually keep stats for this, but do you have anything you want to say before we move on to these divisional round games?
Nah, I mean, like I said, we're not really keeping stats because we've already crowned the winner of our pick segment. Yeah. But nah, that's pretty much it. This is just for fun from here on out.
Yep.
Okay, absolutely. All right, well, let's start off in the AFC. And the first one I want to get into is Houston and Kansas City. That game will be played on the 18th, this Saturday.
First game of the weekend.
I know these two teams battled earlier this season. As a matter of fact, not too long ago to be exact, with Kansas City pulling out a 27-19 win. But the last time these two teams fought in the playoffs was back in 2019 when...
Playoffs? You're talking playoffs?
Yep, playoffs. You kidding me?
Playoffs?
We got to win a game. We got to win one game. Playoffs.
Dallas can't win a game.
And neither can the Chargers.
Yep.
Or Sam Darnold.
Yeah, the last time these two teams played each other in the playoffs, it was back in 2019 when Kansas City overcame the 24-0 deficit and wound up winning 51-31. But, this game is in Kansas City. And Houston, yes, they looked decent against Chargers, putting up 32 points. But, I'm sorry. Houston, we have a problem. And that is the end of y'all's season. Give me Kansas City to win this one. I don't know whether to go close or whether to go a little far out. You know what? I'm just gonna bullshit it.
Just like the Chiefs do every win?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But give me Kansas City over Houston, 34-17.
Yeah, give me Kansas City in this one. 31. I'm going to go 31-17.
Give me the Chiefs to pull it out. Give me the Chiefs. Give me KC 31-20.
All right. Next matchup in the AFC, of course, will take place on Sunday, and that is going to be probably the best matchup of the weekend, and that is the two MVP candidates, Lamar versus Allen. Ravens versus Bills.
Ooh.
This is going to be an absolute shootout.
Yeah, this is gonna be a great game for sure, and this game is much deserving.
Yeah, two lethal running quarterbacks.
Yeah, this game is much deserving of the literal main event time slot of the weekend at 6:30 on CBS.
Oh yeah.
The Ravens and the Bills, two high-profile teams who have very astounding prolific offenses and astounding defenses as well. But I have my concerns for Baltimore because, yes, Lamar Jackson has done well in the past when it comes to the wild card. But when it comes to the divisional round, that's when he starts falling apart because he hasn't really done a whole lot in the divisional round to try to even guide the Ravens to a win, to a conference championship game.
And also to add to that, Joey, in the divisional round 4 seasons ago, Jackson took on the Buffalo Bills.
That's right. That's right.
And what led to that Bills win was that pick six on Jackson.
Yep, and Buffalo dominated that entire game, winning 17-3. Now, I know that this is a rematch from week 4 in which Baltimore beat the ever-living brakes out of Buffalo 35-10, but this is the playoffs we're talking about. It's put up or shut up time.
It's win or go home.
It's win or go home. And with that being said, I just don't have the confidence in Lamar Jackson. I don't. And I know Derrick Henry's going to try to do everything he can to give Baltimore that offensive firepower if Lamar continues his struggles. But, well, like I say time and time again, he can't do it by himself. And with the fact that Zay Flowers might not be able to play in this game, that makes the Ravens offense even more vulnerable. So I still think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But give me Buffalo in this one to advance to once again the AFC Championship on a game-winning touchdown from Josh Allen to whoever. It doesn't matter whether it's himself, the running back, wide receiver, it don't matter. But give me the Ravens. Give me the Bills to win this one in overtime, 36-34.
Ooh.
You know what? Going by your...
I'm sorry, 36-33.
Okay. Going by what you said, and you are right, Zay Flowers may not play this week, and that is a big blow to the offense of Baltimore. And that is one of his key components there. I am going to go with Buffalo in this one. It is going to be close. I'm going to go with a score of 35-30.
Oh, and plus, keep in mind, since this is the playoffs, if you score a touchdown on the opening drive in overtime,
You win.
no, the game is not over because the other team has a chance.
Yeah, that's right.
So we'll see.
You know what? This game is such a tough game to call because, Joey, you made some great thoughts and some great analysis, on these two teams, because when you look at this matchup, you have, and it's a shame that this is not for the AFC Championship, because that's what I thought it was going to be heading down the stretch of the season. But as we all know, the Chiefs, did what they did and got to where they are because they somehow, some way got, to these victories, winning by luck, by the sheer of doinks going their way and quarterbacks making mistakes and other kickers missing kicks and other kickers doinking kicks. Just the sheer, wins are wins. At the end of the day, whether we like it or we don't, a win's a win, and that's all that matters. But this matchup between the Bills and the Ravens, it is unfortunate, like I said, that this is not for the winner going to the Super Bowl, because this very well could be the team that wins this game has a right to call themselves possibly Super Bowl champions. Because the way I look at it with these two teams, if James Cook can get things going, if Josh Allen can get things going, Amari Cooper has not had one of those outstanding Cooper games. He's had some games where he's made some plays, but he hasn't had that holy shit game, where he's making incredible catches after incredible catches, 100 plus yards, nearly 200 yards receiving. It is going to take a Hercules valiant effort by Amari Cooper to get this team to the championship game. Just like how on the Ravens side of things, it's going to take Lamar Jackson giving it his literal all and Derrick Henry going through every defensive tackle and linebacker and even safeties and cornerbacks you can think of. Because Derrick Henry, to me, like I told my friend Bo on the phone the other day, he reminds me of Michael Anthony when it comes to the music side of things. Michael Anthony, for those that don't know, Michael Anthony, to me, is the secret weapon of what made Van Halen a great band. Because, yeah, Eddie Van Halen was a great guitar player. Alex Van Halen, great drummer. Sammy Hagar, obviously one of the greatest rock singers of all time, could sing his ass off. And obviously David Lee Roth, when he was in the band all those years with the original four, and when Hagar was with Eddie and Michael Anthony and Alex, great, eras of the band, regardless. But Michael Anthony was right there, that secret weapon that gave that band their signature vocal sound. Just like how in the world of the NFL, Derrick Henry is that secret sauce, that secret recipe for Baltimore's success. And to me, Derrick Henry is the X factor of this Ravens team. Yeah, because it may suck that Zay Flowers may not play once again this week, out with the knee injury, but he still has Mark Andrews. He still has all the other receivers, that he has. But the one thing that he has Derrick Henry, and nobody else has him. And this is why you bring Derrick Henry, to have these incredible runs, these incredible, feats of strength. And Derrick Henry is one of the best pound-for-pound running backs to put on a pair of pads, and a helmet. Just an incredible, specimen of a football player, a freakish competitor. And Josh Allen's the same way. I mean, this game is so hard to call because the defenses are so evenly matched. There's not really one weak area on both of these teams. They're both evenly matched on both ends of the ball. They both had their dynamic players. Somebody has to win and somebody has to lose. And when you look at, like you said, Joey, Lamar Jackson has all of these playoff demons on his back. He's only been to one championship game, just like Josh Allen has only been to one championship game. Both of these teams have experienced heartbreak in the last 4 seasons. Last 4, 5, 6 seasons combined. But somebody is going to win. And somebody, once again, is going to experience a heartache tonight. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. And with that being said, it's so tough to call because, again, Allen is going to make some plays. Lamar Jackson's going to make some plays. I honestly think the Ravens are going to win this game. Because if Derrick Henry can continue his hot streak of running the ball and pounding the rock and getting inch by inch and yard by yard, they're going to be hard to stop. And I don't care if Derrick Henry is struggling during this game. All it takes is one run. One run. And the game could be sealed. With that being said, give me Baltimore in overtime on a game-winning Justin Tucker 50-yard field goal. 34-31.
Wow.
There you go.
Going against the grain.
Yep, going against the grain. I mean, it's such a tough game to call because either one of these two teams, because if Baltimore wins this game and they get Kansas City, they're going to have sweet revenge on their mind. Just like if Buffalo wins and they have to face the Chiefs once again. Yeah. Buffalo's the same way. They're going to have revenge on their mind because they were 13 seconds away from going to the Super Bowl, or not Super Bowl, to the championship game against the Bengals in 22. You were 13 seconds away from beating Mahomes and the Chiefs, and your defense couldn't stop nothing.
Nope.
It will be fascinating to see what happens with this game. And like you said, Joey, this game has every right to be the final game of the Divisional Round weekend.
All right, here we go. Now we move on to the NFC. And the first game we're going to talk about is, of course, Joey's Washington Commanders taking on those bad Detroit Lions.
You know, I'm going to go ahead and go first with this one. As a Commanders fan, I am very, very pleased with the effort that my boys have put forth this year. I mean, a new head coach, a new GM, a complete massive overhaul with the roster, using our cap space to bring in some high-profile free agents who have played their part, might I add, this year. And nobody expected us to make it this far. Nobody expected us to win more than 6-7 games this year, because this was supposed to be a rebuilding year, or as Coach Quinn calls it, a recalibrating year. This was not supposed to be the year that we were going to go far in the playoffs. Heck, this wasn't even the year that we were supposed to go to the playoffs, because nobody had faith in us. And I'll admit, I was one of those people. I mean, yes, I was very thankful that we were able to get such a amazing quarterback like Jaden Daniels in the draft last April, and there's no doubt that he's going to be named Rookie of the Year whenever the NFL hands out the awards at some point later on before the Super Bowl itself.
Yeah.
But there's just no doubt in my mind that the Commanders, like I said earlier, they have super exceeded expectations as to what everybody was expecting this year. And I was talking to Steven about this after we kicked that game-winning field goal against Tampa Bay on Sunday night. I told him that we have a very, very tall task ahead of us. And that is, of course, knocking off the Detroit Lions, who at 15-2 got the NFC's number 1 seed and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. And I mean, the Lions, they have a great team, with Dan Campbell leading the way as head coach, Jared Goff at quarterback, the two-headed running back monster in Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, who will be making his return this week.
Yeah.
And not to mention the receivers, Amara St. Brown, Jameson Williams, up-and-coming tight end Sam Laporta, and of course you can't forget about the standouts on defense for Detroit. I mean, this game to me is going to come down to the wire. But if the Commanders win, I, of course, will be on cloud 9. But if our season does indeed come to an end on Saturday night, I'm not going to hate. I'm not going to hate. Because, like I said, this was supposed to be a rebuilding year for us. We weren't supposed to go... we weren't supposed to win 8-9 games this year. But we did. We weren't supposed to go to the playoffs this year. But we did.
Yeah.
We weren't supposed to win a playoff game this year. But we did. And there is no doubt in my mind that Jaden Daniels is going to bring everything he can into this matchup with Detroit. So this is why I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. I, unfortunately, am going to have to go with my gut here. And I'm going to say that the Lions are going to end my boys' season. But it's not going to be a blowout. This is going to be a close game. Because Jaden Daniels is going to give everything he has. So, with that being said, I think Detroit is going to knock us out with a final score of 34-30.
Oh, man. I mean, it's been a great ride for the Commanders. It's been a great ride for this 22-year-old sensation. I think Jaden Daniels is going to go out there and have a great game. He's going to throw for nearly 400 yards because, again, that Lions defense is very, very suspect at best as well.
Yeah.
But the difference between the Commanders and the Lions is the Lions have a two-headed running back monster, and the Commanders don't. They have receivers that that Jared Goff has developed a serious amount of chemistry over the last couple of years, and Amon St. Brown and Jamison Williams and second-year tight end Sam Laporta. I mean, go down the list of players that they have on the offense, and also look at the injury problems that the Lions that have had. The adversity that Detroit has had to go through over the last season, losing Aiden Hutchinson, to that horrific leg injury, and all of the injuries that they have sustained all year long. But the one positivity that the Lions can have on their organization is that David Montgomery is returning this week to play in the divisional round against the Commanders. And the fact that he has a chance to, run this team literal and figuratively into the championship game and hosting their first championship game in franchise history. And the record that the Lions have had over the last year, it's their best record overall in the NFL in their entire existence as they've been a franchise. And if Detroit, no matter what, Detroit and or Washington, whoever wins this game, it's going to be an incredible story one way or the other. Because Detroit, if they win this week, they will be one game away from silencing their critics from last year and getting rid of those demons that haunted them last year. Because they were a couple of plays away from beating San Francisco last year in the NFC title game. They came out like a bat of hell and just aggressive against San Francisco last year. And I think that Detroit is going to be a lot for the Commanders to handle, because even though I think the Commanders are going to show up and show out, I think that Scary Terry is going to have a great game. I think that Zach Ertz is going to have a great game. But the one concern that I have for the Commanders is their running game. Not Jaden Daniels, but Robinson. Robinson has been very inconsistent rushing the ball for Washington over the last several weeks. If he can get some good running yards for the Commanders, they have a shot at winning in this game and staying in this game. But I think that Detroit is just going to be a little bit too much for Washington. I think that Jaden Daniels, like I said, will throw at least 400 yards, have 3 TDs, but I think he's going to make that one critical mistake on a chance to win the game. The Lions are going to survive in the red zone on a game-sealing interception. Final score, Detroit will beat Washington, in my opinion, 30-27.
Yeah, I'm going to keep it short and simple on this one. Detroit Commanders are going to put up a hell of a fight. They're going to give Detroit everything that they have, and then some. Give me that one. You know what? I'm going to go with a kind of a weird score, but it's going to be 33-28.
Ooh, interesting.
Yep. 33-28 is my score. All right, and the final game is, of course, the Rams taking on the Eagles. This is a tough one to call. Obviously, both teams have had not the best of starts in the playoffs, let's just say. Philadelphia's kind of been, as we said, Jalen Hurts coming back from being off concussion protocol. Obviously, probably a little bit of rust. but he was not the Jalen Hurts that we know of. He wasn't throwing 200+ yards. He wasn't, having a bunch of touchdowns and all stuff. And he didn't have a lot of it. He didn't have the running game early too, because it seemed like he was probably a little trepidatious of getting knocked out again. So I don't know. Both teams. You got Matt Stafford, who is been around forever, veteran quarterback, looking to gain another championship. Got a great team. It's gonna be a tough one. It really is. Okay, I need a few more seconds to think about this. Who's gonna Joey, go for it. Damn it.
Well,
By the way, if my hands stay like this, I'm not gonna yell, I love you, Solo!
but I mean, this game is kind of hard to predict because whenever the Philadelphia was on the field this past Sunday against Green Bay, yes, they won the game, but they also looked kind of suspect.
Yeah, that was one of my main gripes about that game, was how
And the
Philly looked a little
Rams,
suspect, especially on offense. They were not good.
and I mean the Rams, they completely dominated Minnesota from the word go. But I don't know, there's just something about Philadelphia's offense that just says that they're gonna pull this one out. I mean, I think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna be a high score, but I am gonna side with the Eagles in this one just because they have a better offensive attack, in my opinion, but not by much. But I'm gonna side with Philly in this one. I'm gonna go Philly 23, Rams 16.
So what was your final score? I'm sorry, I had a phone call blowing in my ear.
23-16, Eagles.
Yeah, this game to me, it's a little tricky to call this game because, again, like Philadelphia's defense looked very suspect, and against the Packers, because the Packers, yes, they had a lot of injuries during that game, but this is the Rams we're talking about. This is Matthew Stafford. This is Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp, who have been to the promised land, who have been to the NFC Championship game, and who have won a Super Bowl together. But now, I think Stafford is also motivated that he has young players that have never been to the big dance, that have never been on the precipice of a Super Bowl. He has Puka Nacua, who is a freakish young wide receiver. If Nacua can get going and Cooper Kupp can get going, it is going to be tough to stop those two guys. But like Joey said, I think Philadelphia has a little bit more offensive weaponry because you still have A.J. Brown, you still have Devontae Smith, you still have Dallas Goedert, who's one of the best blocking tight ends. And oh, by the way, they still got Saquon Barkley. Yeah, that guy. I think Saquon Barkley is going to. I think that Saquon Barkley and company are going to be a little bit too much for the Rams. I think the Rams are going to stick and stay in this game. I think it's not going to be a blowout.
Yeah, the Saquon Barkley guy, he's a nobody.
Nobody. Give me Philadelphia to win this game and move on to the NFC title game. Give me Philly, but the final score of 24 to 20.
You know what? Give me this one. 27-24. Game-winning field goal.
Oh, Jake Elliott on a game-winning field goal.
But let's see what's well, yeah, that's pretty much it for the NFL coverage for today. Let's hold on, I keep pressing my wrong damn button here.
Also real quick, the college football championship game is set.
Yes, it is. That's right. Ohio State versus Notre Dame Fighting Irish.
Man, that Notre Dame and Penn State game was a hell of a game.
Goddamn Penn State. I was hoping you would eliminate Notre Dame, damn it. You figured I'm Northern Indiana. You figured I go with the Fighting Irish. No. Fuck Notre Dame. I am Indiana Hoosiers. 100%. And my secondary, if I had a secondary team, it would be Ohio State. So I'm happy either way.
I brought this up at work whenever we were talking about a little bit of sports action at work earlier today, and I'm going to bring it up here. There's just something about this game that is speaking to me. Notre Dame has had a phenomenal year. They've had a phenomenal year. Yes, they lost to Northern Illinois around the first week of the year, but ever since then, they have won every single game that they've played. But as much as I cannot stand Ohio State, Ryan Day, or the Big Ten in general, there's just something in me that's saying that Ohio State is going to dominate this national championship game. And I honestly believe that Ohio State is going to win this game by like 2 or 3 touchdowns.
I'm thinking at least 2 TDs because they made that Texas offense look putrid.
Yes, they did. And I just don't think Notre Dame can handle or can keep up with Ohio State. I just don't think they'll be able to.
And also Texas try to outcoach, Ohio State during that game and try to get too cutesy with their play calling. Just be fundamentally sound and make the plays.
Yeah, there's no reason to overdo it, and especially in a game that is this pivotal, you need to just simplify things. There's no, what is it? KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. That's what they need to follow. Why overcomplicate certain plays, certain drives, when you can just go with the flow and make it make sense?
Let the game come to you. Don't force it.
Let the game come to you. Be better to be safe than sorry. Especially when it's a national championship game like this, where everything is on the line. This is just not no ordinary ball game. This isn't the Sugar Bowl, the Orange Bowl, whatever the case may be. This is the big time. This is the big stage for college athletes, for college football players. So they got to step it up. And look, Ohio State, I agree, will win by at least 2 touchdowns. Notre Dame is a good team. Don't get me wrong, but Notre Dame's just got too much firepower, good defense. I think overall, Ohio State's just going to truck them. But I'm trying to think of anything else, any other big news. Oh, Tyson Fury. He announced on his Instagram that he is once again officially retired. We'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, I was about to say, we'll see how long it lasts this time.
Like every fucking band on the face of the earth, there is no such thing as retirement. But also, but I think that's pretty much it. Do you guys have anything else you guys want to roll with before the show wraps up for today?
I think I'm good for the night.
I think I'm good too.
Real quick, Joey, what are you playing? Because I hear the clack, clack, clack of a controller.
Oh, I'm playing a old style wrestling game.
Which one?
SmackDown vs. Raw 2011.
Oh, nice.
07 will always be my favorite because of the roster, the gameplay, and of course the soundtrack.
Yes.
The
soundtrack in that game was great.
Blackstone Cherry, 2 songs from 3 Days Grace, 2 songs from Nonpoint, Versus the World, Allele. Even has a good rap with a little scrappy, Money in the Bank.
Enemy by Godsmack in the game.
Enemy by Godsmack, yes. But yeah, Versus the World, Forgive Me, one of my favorite tracks. Bullets and Octane, I'm Not Your Savior.
Mm-hmm. God, I miss the days of wrestling games when soundtracks were great.
Oh, hell yeah. One of my favorite ones I do say, though, was the song Breaks with Wiz Khalifa, and he had John Cena do the rap on that last verse.
Yeah.
It had throwbacks to Basic Thugonomics, John Cena.
Mm-hmm.
Doing a rap in like 2015, I never thought I would see.
Oh, yeah.
He was back on the mic spitting bars, and I was like, okay, this is cool.
Yeah.
But that's it for tonight, guys. Final thoughts, Joey. You know the drill, buddy.
Once again, another great show with you guys. Hate that we couldn't have Kevin or Hijacker join us tonight, but of course they probably have some other things going on.
Yep.
Awesome analysis when it comes to the NFL. Looking forward to the playoff games this weekend, especially Saturday night, 8 o'clock on Fox. I'm going to be sitting in front of the TV, watching my boys do what they are not expecting or not being expected to do, and that is knock off Detroit on their field. I mean, anything is possible. And I kind of hope it does happen, but it's just something in my guts is telling me that this is going to be the end of our season. But awesome analysis as always. Looking forward to other sports. And also, no matter where you are in the world, if it's cold, stay warm. But if you're out in LA or in the surrounding areas with all them wildfires, I mean, I know it's a very tough time, and all of our prayers are going out to all the victims who have either lost their lives or lost their homes or possessions or whatever, what have you. But yeah, I'm just looking forward to the playoff games this weekend. Peace out.
All right, Steven, you know the drill, my friend. Final thoughts.
Yes, I do. Great show with you guys. A great analysis by you guys on what we talked about today, and looking forward to another great weekend of NFL action. And hopefully, these playoff games this weekend are way more better and more competitive than last week's wildcard round. And also, hopefully, the championship game for college football is a rising success. And also, I want to give real quick shout outs to my buddy Bo. He is headed out for the first time this week to Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada. Hope you have a great time, my brother. Hope you have a great time out there exploring the Vegas grounds and going to the Sphere for the first time and having a good time out there. And whatever you get into, have a great time with your friends and stuff. And it's going to be a hell of a time. You're going to enjoy yourselves. And I can't wait to hear all about the stories that you do down there in Vegas. And also, as well as you all know, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. And with that being said, you can follow us on Twitter at @ON_Sports Show, Facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show, where we are live on most Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific. It's youtube.com/Our Nation Sports Show. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all of that good stuff to your family and your friends that love the world of sports. And also don't forget to follow the Nation's Corner on Twitter at Nation's Corner, Facebook at Nation's Corner, Instagram at Nation's Corner, and where they are live on most Saturday nights, unless a pay-per-view is permitting that, starting way early, or it's starting right at the top of the hour for the most part, WWE, and sometimes AEW. But usually they are live at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, 4 p.m. Pacific at youtube.com/The Nation's Corner. Be sure to join the guys and gals that cover all things professional wrestling. And also, real quick, shout outs to Penta last night. What a hell of a match with Chad Gable last night. It was an incredible match. And also, I love the opening segment with Rollins, Punk, and McIntyre. That was really good stuff. And just don't know, I thought last night's Raw was a better episode than last week, and last week's was good too. But I just think the flow of the show last night, including that great street fight with Damian Priest and Finn Balor, that was fun. And just overall great show last night. Looking forward to what else happens in the world of wrestling, and also looking forward to another fun weekend of sports. And again, everybody out there, enjoy yourselves. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great rest of your weekend. As I wrap this up, my friend.
Absolutely, my man. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us. Thank you to the crew we have here tonight. Kevin, of course, and Hijacker could be here, but we're thankful for them as well. Don't forget to like the channel. Don't forget to follow our individual social medias, which will be listed in this video, as well as the description on the YouTube channel itself. But thank you guys for joining us. Don't forget, this week, a lot of great wrestling on. Saturday, of course, TNA Genesis, or this Sunday, TNA Genesis, with a great card, including Josh Alexander versus Mike Santana. I mean, you got Joe Hendry versus Nick Nemeth for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. You got Tessa Blanchard versus Jordan Grace. You got Masha Slamovich defending her TNA Knockouts title. You've got the Hardys taking on the Rascals for the TNA World Tag Team titles. Possibly even added to the mix after this Thursday's Impact, possibly PCO and Sami Callihan. So check it out. TNA Plus app. Don't forget to get on there. Or you can buy it on Fight or Triller TV as well. Pay-per-view wise. You can get that for a discount too. So don't forget to go to TNAWrestling.com for more information on that. And of course, the People versus GCW as well this Sunday, live from the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City. They are less than 80 tickets from selling out. So definitely if you're going to go and you're in the New York area, get on board. Hell of a card. Like I said, announced yesterday, Josh Barnett versus the former Baron Corbin, Tom Pestock, in a Bloodsport rules match. 6-way DLC match for the vacant Ultraviolet title. Effie versus Alley Catch, with the winner facing Mance Warner in the main event for the GCW World Championship. Matt Cardona versus a mystery opponent. 6-man tag team match featuring Homicide, Amazing Red, and Grim Reaper versus Kerry Morton, Griffin McCoy, and who else? But then also a 6-person tag with the ECW Originals team. It's going to be amazing. Masato Tanaka, Joey Janela. I mean, how can you get any better on this card? It is loaded, it is stacked, and there's plenty more surprises to come on that show. Check that out on Triller TV Plus, or you can buy it as a pay-per-view as well, but get it on Triller TV Plus, only $5 a month. All right, enough of that. Let's get out of here for tonight. For Joey Thornton, for Kevin Rory, for Big Stevie Wyand, for Randy Guyer, for Hijacker Mike, and everybody in the Sports Center Nation. Here, I am Ezra Vickery, and we will see you right here next week for another great edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you next Tuesday. Same time, same YouTube channel. Peace out, everybody.
Turn me up.